Hi everyone, I'm Anna from Air Plant Shop, and in this video we are going to be discussing trimming and pruning your air plants. So in front of me I have an assortment of Tillandsia, and I'm going to be using my tool of choice, which is our brand new Bonsai-Style Tillandsia pruning scissors. They're really sturdy and hard and also very sharp, so they are perfect for this chore. You definitely can use these for other types of gardening projects. If you're pruning other houseplants, these are great for that as well. So they're very multi-purpose, but for this purpose, I'm gonna be using them to trim some air plants. For my first plant that I'm going to trim up, you can see it has quite long roots, which if you are an air plant enthusiast, you know that the roots aren't required to absorb any of the nutrients or water. So those are absolutely able to be taken off unless you want them to attach to a different medium, such as some wood, or if you just like the natural look of the roots, that's absolutely fine. For me, I like them a little bit more aesthetically cleaned up, so I'm gonna cut those guys off. And then this is the stolon, which is what attached this baby plant to the mother originally, and it also isn't necessary for the health. So I'm gonna go ahead and just simply cut these roots off into my bowl. It gets a little messy, and you can see it really easily just chops those right off. You wanna make sure to not cut any of the base of the plant, but that's a perfectly fine distance to keep the plant healthy. And then this guy, a nice and clean cut. And so that looks a lot more cleaned up, especially at the base. So for my next plant, you can see it has a ton of loose leaves on the bottom. Maybe you have had it for a couple of months and it just needs a nice cleaning. So I'm actually first going to take off some of the totally dead leaves here. So these will come off manually very easily. So anything that's fully brown is not serving the plant anymore. So go ahead and pull those off. And you can even pull off many at a time, but again, make sure you're not pulling too much of the base of the plant. So these guys can come off, that one, some of these. And it kind of depends how much you want to be cleaned off. I mean, you don't want to go too far, but you can definitely clean it up quite a bit. And so now I have a lot more of the roots exposed, and I want to clean those up as well. So I'm gonna pull the leaves all away from the roots, make sure all of the roots are showing to make sure the plant is totally protected. I'll take the scissors and I'm gonna do just a couple at a time to make sure that I don't hurt any of the plant. And so now you can see it's really nicely cleaned up. As you can see, this one, maybe I forgot to water it for a month or something and it survived, but some of these guys look a little brown on the tips, and you can definitely clean those up as well. Really easily. I recommend cutting them on a diagonal so it really looks super clean. You'll be able to see this a little bit better with my Streptophila example, but see that one is pretty low on the leaf. So try to get in there, give it a nice clean snip, and see how natural that looks. So yeah, so this one looks pretty good. Don't want to over trim it, so I'll let these grow out a little bit further. Now on to our next plant. This one we can see, this is the old bloom stalk, and this is another great example of when these scissors come in handy. I'll be able to get in there very precisely and cut only the old bloom. So I'm gonna peel away, or just push away actually, some of these little leaves of this Argentea. We want just the old bloom. So I'm gonna get it nice and close to the base of the bloom, the past bloom, and simply just cut it off. And then you can see at the base, this has a ton of old leaves. So again, I'm gonna manually pull some of these off, and then maybe I'll cut a bit of the root as well, just to make it super clean. Maybe you want it to fit in a terrarium, and all of these extra leaves hinder it from fitting in the terrarium. So this is a great way to keep it really clean and fit in all of your displays. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I don't want to over pull off these leaves, and I really love seeing the details of the Argentea leaves stacking on themselves. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm just gonna trim off this long root because it's not really necessary, and I want it to sit flat, and sometimes those don't allow it to sit flat. So again, I'm gonna make sure to clear the space, only have that root, give it a nice cut, and then it's nice and clean. For my final example is kind of a larger Tillandsia. This is Streptophila. Really, this one honestly looks perfect, but I did notice that a couple of the leaves at the very tips have some brown parts, and maybe I just want to make it totally perfect. So here again, we want to cut it on an angle, a nice clean cut, and look how natural that looks. It looks like the leaf just grew that way. And you know, maybe there was another spot on here, maybe even that, like it's a little bit damaged. It's not that big of a deal, but the end is also damaged. So if I want to go up a little bit further, that's totally okay. This leaf is towards the base, so it'll grow out eventually anyways. So I'm just gonna cut it. It's a little bit thick, but that's okay. These will cut through it easily. So a nice clean cut. And then you can see it'll just blend in with all of the other leaves and you don't even notice. And then you don't see any of that brown. And it's really as simple as that. The best part to me is you get to trim however you want your plants to look. So if you want the tips to be really clean, or if you like the base to be a little bit more natural, it's totally up to you. So that concludes our tutorial. Check out all of our air plant tools, which include these Bonsai-Style scissors, as well as our ready-to-use air plant fertilizer spray and our gold mister. And I'll link those in the description below.